The first unit of the year is called Different People, Different Lives. And the central idea for this unit is that empathy, tolerance and respect are essential attitudes in a diverse world. So what we're doing with this unit is we're exploring issues of prejudice, discrimination and stereotyping. As part of this unit, we read a book called The Cay. It's written by Theodore Taylor and it's based in the Caribbean in 1940. Okay, so everybody, during this unit, we all read The Cay, yeah? Now, do you remember there was a moment in the story where Philip says to Timothy, we asked him this question, he says, Timothy, do you come from Africa? And Timothy says, I don't know anything about a place called Africa. I've been brought up here in the Caribbean. I've lived here my whole life. Now, at the time, there were a few of you who said that you knew about the slave trade, yeah? And how Africans have been brought from Africa over to the Caribbean to work as slaves, yeah, on the plantations in the Caribbean. Do you remember? And I thought that, but some of you weren't, you know, didn't really seem to know so very much about the slave trade, so I thought it would be really good to read this book, okay? From Slave Ship to Freedom Road. So we're going to be exploring this book today, and maybe it will give us some more information about the slave trade so that we can better understand the slave trade, yeah? I've chosen two routines today to use to explore the book. First of all, we're going to use the See, Think, Wonder routine. So I want them to focus, first of all, on looking at the painting. What can they see? What might be going on here? What's the big idea in the story, in the painting first? And then when they've done that, they can read the text. And then to make sense of the text, they'll use the sentence, phrase, word routine. So what I want you to do is today you're going to get a piece of paper like this. It's going to have a painting. It's going to have some text at the bottom. And what I want you to do first of all in your groups is just to focus on looking at the painting. Before you read anything, I want you to look really, really carefully at the picture. I want you to use the See, Think, Wonder in your conversation to look incredibly detailed at all the little details in the picture, yeah? Because the beauty of that routine is that it slows us down, yeah? And it helps to focus our attention on all the details that are in the painting. They're beautiful paintings and they tell their own story, really. So look at the paintings and ask each other, what can we see? What do we think's going on here? Does it bring up any questions in our minds? Are we wondering about anything? And then when you think you've really learnt a lot from the painting, then you can go to the text and you can read the text together. And to make sense of the text, we're going to use the sentence, phrase, word routine. Okay, now we have used this routine before. And this routine helps us to really capture what's most important in a piece of writing. Now with the sentence, what you're looking for is a sentence from the text that you think captures a big idea in this part of the story. And then you're going to look for a phrase. And it has to be a phrase which isn't in your original sentence. Okay? It's got to be a separate phrase. And you're choosing it because it tells you a little bit more about what's going on. And you also think it's important. Yeah? And then for the word, it's just one single word, a very strong word, something that for you feels significant. Okay? Now the idea is that when you choose the sentence, the phrase and the word, just those small snippets from the whole text will be like a summary of the text. It's going to capture what's important in this part of the story. Yeah, Damon?
So the word can be part of the phrase or the sentence?
Yes, or it can be separate. Now what you're going to do is you're working in groups of 3. So I want you to write down what each of you have said. You need to also explain to each other why you've chosen the sentence, why you chose that phrase, and why you think that word is important. You're going to have that discussion together, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to come together again as a whole class, and you as a group are going to explain for that page what was your sentence, what was your phrase, what was your word. And that way, without reading the whole book, everybody will start to get an idea of what's going on at each part of the story. Okay, so we'll build the story together. We're missing so many students today because so many people have got flu. Yeah, okay. So first group for page 1 will be Hannah, Lucas and Amber. Okay, you take that one. There you go. Yeah. And the next group, page 2, Yui, Khan and Sandro. It was clear to me that several of the children really didn't know anything about the slave trade. So I'm curious to see how they react to this story and how they're making connections between this story, what they've been reading in the K, and also the other activities that we've had during this unit as well.
Maybe her hand is out.
Or maybe she's the mother.
She's the mother. Yeah. And they're having a disagreement, so maybe he actually kind of.
And they're all black.
Yeah, they're all black people.
Okay.
And they don't look very happy, do they?
They look really angry. Look at them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Looks like they've been in pain.
a lot of real us. And they don't have any hair. Got all the hair.
It looks like they've been shaved.
Maybe it's part of their uniform.
And there are quite a few bodies in the water.
They're 23 actually.
So, and then some of the bodies are they look dead, so they look like they're not moving.
Yeah, it's like the waves get really big in the ocean
Yeah.
and they like bring you under, you hit your head on something.
Yeah. And the ship looks quite big.
Yeah, it looks
Looks very big.
I'm reading the second part of the chain, Timothy of the Chain, and it says that these ships, they look like really pretty on the outside, but like really bad on the inside. They're all men.
Look pretty strong. They don't look weak.
Yeah, it looks like they have been taken away, and they also look like they regret for doing something.
Especially this one.
Yeah, maybe because if they're all men, maybe they had a family and children and wives they all left behind. If they've been imported somewhere.
And maybe they're sad. Like, because most of them don't even have an expression.
It's pretty, but there's lots of clouds. It looks maybe like there could be a storm.
That's a weird shape for a ship. Like usually they're just pointed. It has a lot of sails, like 1, 2, 3.
Could be that they did a campaign to stand up for him, and he was the leader or something. And
Maybe he was chief of the village.
yeah, maybe. So what does it make you wonder?
I wonder what's going to happen to them. They don't look like they're in the best conditions.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they've got a lot of money. Because what they're wearing.
Yeah. Probably a lot of money or not, they'd still get sent. I guess because of their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we read the text now?
And that can't be because this guy's walking against his own type.
On his neck though.
Yeah, I know, it's like you can choke.
And it's always like, and then it goes to his hands, and then it's like on his ankles there.
And if you pull, then you can choke.
That part is really like violent, you know?
Yeah, because it's some. They were just dropped.
Yeah.
They weren't really put in the water. It's kind of scary.
No, they just laid there. And
Maybe they were tired.
they laid there without no food or anything. They just sun.
That's probably why they got sick, and then that's why they died.
Yeah, I think that one is trying to think maybe what will happen to the future.
Looks like there's like hope inside there. A little.
Why don't you start then to read the text? Because I think when you read the text here, you might find yourself getting quite surprised at reading the text.
To have value in the heart of another, to value another in your heart. Is that not what it means to be a human? If I value you in my heart, I would rather hurt myself than hurt you. If I value you in my heart. Slavery was part of a business. The slave owner wanted to make as much money as he could, but what happened if the price of cotton fell 1 year and the slave owner could not pay his bill?
We've used the sentence phrase word routine in class before. So what I'm going to be looking for is to see if children are more confident about making their choices and explaining their choices and justifying their choices to the other people in the group. The other thing that I'm going to be listening for is the language they use to explain their thinking, and whether or not they're using the vocabulary that we've been exploring during this unit, whether or not they're making that their own.
Like it explains like they've been like taken away and they're like really, really angry. So should I write this out?
Yeah.
You guys can choose what I'm writing.
I think I like the sentence. When we understand in the heart, each of us is less alone because they seem they could be thinking, oh no, now I'm here by myself. But if they understand each other, then they feel more secure, maybe.
Well, I think this one that says they do not care what your real name is or who you really are, because it just shows how they didn't care that they had lives, they didn't care that they had a family.
The phrase that I chose, guys, was the slaves ran away and disappeared, because I think it really shows like how much they hated being slaves and like that they just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
And like that they really didn't enjoy it. What was yours?
Mine was the same as yours.
Why did you choose it?
I chose it because they treated them really badly in the camps,
Yeah.
and they gave them hardly any food, and if you did one thing bad, they'd like punish you, even if it wasn't very severe or anything.
Yeah.
And
My phrase was many slaves escaped to free states in the north. I say this because many, like it was important to know where they were going, and they probably chose the north because a lot of the countries in the north, like Canada, weren't under the rule of the United States, so they were free there.
Oh yeah, that's
I still want the word anger, because anger is just something that really all of the slaves had, and the white people had it on them too for whatever reason.
I think I'm going to choose alone because they were alone. Now they're alone because they've been taken from their families and put here. So they're probably missing their families and they're feeling really alone. And look at the faces, expressions.
Well, the word I chose was disappeared, and the reason that I chose it was because it really like showed how much the slaves wanted to get out of slavery and how much they really hated being a slave.
yeah.
And my word was mistreated because I thought it's important to know that they were mistreated a lot, and that like in the picture the white patroller is dragging this man on a horse but by a rope, which shows that it's a lot of mistreatment.
So
I chose escape because it connects with Igor's mistreated, because they were so badly mistreated they wanted to escape and get out from the plantations.
well, this picture is actually just showing like how if they tried to escape, they'd be mistreated just like really, really badly, because you can see in the picture that he's tied to a rope which is tied to a saddle
And
of a
he's
horse.
got bruises everywhere, and
Like
it's
cuts.
and he's going around rough ground, so that probably would hurt a lot and
he got,
make you bleed.
cuts and stuff.
Okay, so you've done a good job of picking your sentence, your phrase, your word, and now I want you to go to this next part here, and where we're talking about the themes. So what did the author and the artist really want us to think about? They're saying now pause here for a minute. What's really going on in this situation? Because
They got cruelty.
there's cruelty, isn't there? Yeah?
And-
Because
and injustice.
why do you say there's cruelty?
Because they got guns.
Yeah. So they're kind of wielding the power. Yeah. And these people are feeling, how are they feeling?
Mad, probably discriminated against.
Yeah. Do you think there's a loss of something? I mean, look the way that they've dressed them. Do they still have their own?
No, they all wear, the men wear white, kind of
underpants, I think, and the woman wear the
Dresses, like
Yeah.
short dresses. They're actually being treated like items because they get bought and sold.
Okay, so that's what I want you to capture in the themes. You know, how were people feeling about this at the time? And there's different points of view. These people, they know what they were feeling about the situation, but then think about all of
Their
these
point of
people
view.
from their point of view, exactly, yeah? How were they feeling? And then in the interpretations and implications, this part here, what I'm asking you to do here is to think about how does this situation that happened so long ago connect to our world today, in the present day? What's going on in our world today which is in some ways similar,
Like still like child labor in Africa and India and stuff.
that kind of thing as well? Yeah, so there's certain injustices still going on in the world today, aren't there? Okay, so think about what you're going to write down here, because then you're going to share that with the rest of the group as well.
Okay, so the whites have a lot of cruelty and there's a lot of injustice.
SKIN.
Yeah. So think about our central idea. How does it connect to our central idea? Was there respect being shown?
But I also, I wonder if they like tried running away or fighting the people trying to take
They
them.
were probably like really sad, but maybe they couldn't because then they knew if they took them at the end, they would treat them really badly.
Yeah, like the white people who took them give no rights, you know?
Yeah. They had no rights. They
Yeah,
were.
the black people had no choice.
Yeah.
Like they didn't.
The Africans had no
They had to go on the slave boats because they forced them.
Yeah. But is there anything like that going on in the world today now?
It happens sometimes at school as well, even just small like somebody will treat other people badly, and if they don't not wearing like the clothes that somebody else wears, they can make fun of them for that of their religion or where they come from. They could
So-
like make fun, just small little things though.
So in a way, this is like bullying, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just on a bigger scale, but it's still maybe coming from the same place. Okay, so well done, everybody. It's a fascinating book, don't you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to share it together. That's what we're going to do the next time we get together. We'll put the slides up on the projector over here, the pictures, the full-scale pictures, and then each group is going to take it in turns to explain their sentence, their phrase, and their word, their choices that they've made. And I'm going to document that down so we have a record of it, okay? And then slowly, page by page, we will build an understanding of the whole story. Okay, so look, you were looking at this stage. I think one of the things that I was delighted to see was how they were bringing in all of their background knowledge about the world and sharing that in their discussions. And I was so pleased to see how they were discussing really quite passionately, how they really had their point to make, and they felt sure about that. They were more confident to hold their own ground, to say what they felt and to justify it with evidence. And that growing confidence is something that I think I like to see. It's something that I'm trying to nurture within this culture of thinking in the classroom. So I'm very happy to see that.